we were discussing about control of voluntary movements. We have learned that until a normal tone, posture, and equilibrium of the body is maintained, it is not possible to carry on voluntary movements. We have already discussed about the postural reflexes. Today we will discuss about the muscle tone. The resistance of a muscle to stretch is often referred to as its tone or tonus. If the motor nerve to a muscle is cut, the muscle offers very little resistance and it is said to be flaccid. A hypertonic spastic muscle is one in which the resistance to stretch is high because of hyperactive stretch reflexes. Now we come to the receptors. The muscle spindle detects the change in length of the muscle and rate of change in length of the muscle. Each muscle spindle has three essential elements. A group of specialized intrafusal muscle fibers with contractile polar ends and a non-contractile center. Large diameter myelinated afferent nerves type 1A and type 2 originating in the central portion of the intrafusal fibers. And number 3, small diameter myelinated efferent nerves supplying the polar contractile regions of the intrafusal fibers. The intrafusal fibers are positioned in parallel to the extrafusal fibers. So, in the diagram, you can see the muscle spindle, the intrafusal fibers, the nuclear chain fiber, the nuclear bag fiber, the different endings, primary ending, secondary ending, and the gamma motor neurons. The muscle spindle, we have already told that it detects the change in length of the muscle and rate of change in length of the muscle. While the Golgi tendon organ, it detects the change in tension in the muscle. So, whenever there is a stretch in the muscle, sudden dynamic stretch say. So what happens? The information goes via the 1A fibers. They enter via the dorsal root ganglia, via the dorsal horn. Then they come to the anterior horn cell of the spinal cord. From there, there is release of final common pathway. And this comes to the effector organ, that is the muscle. There is finally contraction of the muscle. Whenever there is discharge of alpha motor neuron, there is also usually discharge of the gamma motor neuron. This is called alpha gamma co-activation. If, say of an instance, there is alpha motor neuron discharge, but there is no gamma motor neuron discharge, what will happen? We have told that the central portion do not contain, the muscle spindle do not contain contractile element. The peripheral portion, they contain the contractile elements. So, what would have happened? The extrafusal fibers, they have contracted. As a result, there would be no more stretch in the middle portion of the muscle. So, no impulse will now go from the periphery to the center. The center will become totally unaware of the location, position, state of the muscle. So the muscle will be unloaded. So this alpha gamma co-activation prevents unloading of the muscle. So initially the length of the muscle is surveyed. That is called the length servo mechanism. Now the alpha motor neuron and the gamma motor neuron, they are activated together. So this is called alpha gamma co-activation or follow up servo mechanism. Throughout the time what is happening, there is a certain stretch in the muscle and information is going via different fibers to the anterior horn cells. There is also a discharge of the gamma motor neuron, and so this is forming a loop like structure which is called the gamma loop. There are local reflexes that are generated out here, and there is also some supraspinal control which are helping in maintaining the muscle tone. We have already told that the Golgi tendon organ, it detects the change in tension in the muscle. Whenever there is excess tension in the muscle, there is a inverse stretch reflex or autogenic inhibition which is initiated, which prevents excess stretch and causes relaxation of the muscle because there is stimulation of an inhibitory interneuron in this process. Now we come to the supraspinal control of the muscle tone. There are some facilitatory areas and some inhibitory areas. We have learnt about different tracts in the medial motor pathway, the lateral motor pathway. Now we will see how the different pathways, they influence the tone of the muscle. So we have seen for spinal level of control, it is the stretch reflex. Then there is the supraspinal control. We will discuss about two areas. One is bulboreticular facilitatory area, another is bulboreticular inhibitory area. The bulboreticular facilitatory area is located in the pons and it has got intrinsic activity of its own. It has got some connections with the periphery and it can discharge its own impulses and increases gamma motor neuron discharge. So it has facilitatory influence on gamma motor neuron discharge. It can be influenced by higher centers, but it has got intrinsic activity. Now we come to the bulboreticular inhibitory area. This is located in the medulla. It has got no intrinsic activity of its own. It is only activated when it gets information from the higher centers. What is the function of the bulboreticular inhibitory area? It decreases gamma motor neuron discharge. That is, it has got inhibitory influence on gamma motor neuron discharge. Throughout the time, there is a balance between these areas which help in maintenance of your normal muscle tone. Now, let's discuss about different types of rigidities. There are some rigidity which are called alpha rigidity and some rigidity called gamma rigidity. You can see here there is a picture. The sections are made at different levels. One is a decorticate preparation, another is a decerebrate preparation, another is picture of a spinal animal. The spinal animal, the animal that receives this transection of spinal cord at lower cervical level to study the various reflexes. In spinal section, reflexes with centers in the spinal cord are intact. But which have got are the supraspinal reflexes? We have known them. What are they? Example, tonic neck reflex, tonic labyrinthine reflex, the writing reflex. Then the reflexes having red centers at the cerebral cortex. So they are absent. Only the reflexes which have got center at the level of the spinal cord, they are present. Now let's come to decerebrate rigidity. A section is made between the superior and the inferior colliculus. You can see the animal, all the four limbs with the are extended. So with all the four limbs here are extended. Why is it like that? We have made a section between the superior and the inferior colliculus. So what has happened? the facilitatory area, bulboreticular facilitatory area, and the barboreticular inhibitory area has both lost their control from higher centers. The higher centers are no longer controlling them. But we know the pontine area, they have got intrinsic activity and they can have positive influence on muscle tone, that is increase gamma motor neuron discharge, while the inhibitory area, they do not have any intrinsic activity. So when connection from the higher center is cut, the inhibitory area, it has now become inactive, but the facilitatory area is still active because it has got intrinsic activity. So it will continue to send impulses to increase gamma motor neuron discharge. As a result, what has happened? A rigidity has appeared. This is a gamma rigidity. This is a gamma rigidity. Now we can study two preparations. One is classical decerebrate preparation, another is ischemic decerebrate rigidity. What we have discussed till now was the classical decerebrate rigidity, which was first studied by Sherrington in cats. We have already discussed about the classical decerebrate rigidity, where there is increase in gamma motor neuron discharge. So, if we cut the afferent nerves, what will happen? This rigidity will disappear because this is a gamma rigidity, or we anesthetize the afferent nerve. This rigidity will disappear because this is due to the gamma motor neuron discharge. Now we see about an ischemic decerebrate rigidity. So what was done here? There was a tie that was applied at the junction of the carotid and the basilar artery at the junction of the pons and medulla. So the carotid and basilar arteries at the junction of the pons and medulla, it was tied. So the blood supply to a part of the cerebellum, especially the anterior lobe, was cut off. And as a result, the cerebellum, this part of the cerebellum, tonically keeps the data nucleus inhibited, which is the vestibular nucleus. What is the function of this vestibular nucleus? It can increase alpha motor neuron discharge. But what happens normally? It is kept tonically inhibited by the cerebellum. Now you have metapiperation, where the blood supply to a portion of the cerebellum is lost. So what will happen? The lateral vestibular nucleus is out of the inhibitory control of the cerebellum. So it will send more and more discharges influencing the activity of alpha motor neuron. So now a rigidity has developed, which is called alpha rigidity. This rigidity will not be lost if you cut the afferent nerve or give anesthesia to the afferent nerve. This is a alpha rigidity, and that was a gamma rigidity. This is ischemic preparation, and that was Sherrington's classical decerebrate preparation. Now decorticate animal. Decorticate animal is one in whom the whole cerebral cortex is removed, but the basal ganglia and brainstem are left intact. Characteristic features: moderate rigidity is present. Cortex inhibits medullary reticulospinal tract. Therefore, removal of cortex results in facilitation of gamma motor neuron discharge. Seen only when the animal is at rest. Typical posture in decorticate man consists of full extension of legs, arms lying across the chest, semi-flexion at elbow, semi-pronation of forearms, flexion of wrists and fingers. Writing reflexes are present. So you can see the picture of a decorticate posture and a decerebrate posture.